Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to N-Thunder Gaming. I got my COGs Week 4 post-analysis here. A very bizarre week indeed. I don't think any of us saw the PAFA Polaris or M&S paddling matches going the way they did. So it was a very strange week for punditry, as a lot of the players played very bizarrely. Anyway, first up we got the Raft versus the Broods. Duck infighting as it were. Yeah, so here we go. We got Howard the Duck versus Duck Vor trying to snipe each other, as it were, but Pyramidian's obviously lacking in that general area, so very, very lackluster play here. What blue team should have done here is they should have just been really, really offensive off the bat. Like, you can't avoid it with using dual flat gap prims. You just have to get in there and hopefully use your combined tankiness to overpower the other team, especially with the amount of DPS those two ships put down. If you focus one ship, their engineers can't even save it. Okay, so they snipe here. Eventually they figure out, well, fuck, that's not going to work, so they start charging in. Again, they're focusing one target. Fun fact, Goldfish does have more hull and armor than Pyramidian. Very interesting fact there. Yeah, so they're just trying to focus down Howard the Duck, and you can see the shields dropping. But Izumi was flying off his ass this game. Like, he can dodge like a motherfucker when he's in that Goldfish. Hydrogen, breaking the angles on those flat gets. He waited till they got a certain distance and then charged above them. It's going to make them start hitting each other. It's very, very nice flying. Look at that. Beautiful flying from Howard the Duck. Very... well, exploiting unskilled piloting, I guess. Not that blue team is unskilled, but they did fall for that fairly swiftly. The nice thing about Hwacha Goldfish is it disables the shit out of Pyramidians, let's be honest. And same thing goes with Junkers. If you're on a flat gat Junker or a flat gat Pyramidian, you don't like Hwachas because they insta-disable you as soon as you got one barrage going against you. You cannot charge head-on. You cannot charge a Hwacha fish head-on because they will just disable your front guns, and then you're useless. And then your armor's gone, and you try to ram out of desperation, and it goes terribly. Just look at all the red you'll see on blue team. Look at it. Look at it. I'm just going to let that sink in. It's a beautiful counter to the dual Pyramidian loadout, having a Hwacha fish, because it does. It disables them entirely. So then if your teammate can 1v1 another Pyramidian, then you're set, because you can take one out of the fight automatically just with Hwachas. Duckface here, meat grinding, realizing it a little too late. A little bit of sloppy play, but they ended up coming back towards the end. You got Buddy spawning somewhere back here on the map, and then his teammate, once he dies here, he just kind of sacrifices himself. Like, oh, well, I'm not going to survive this. Might as well just hurry up and die. But he's still trying to kill Howard the Duck, albeit in vain as he pops. But yeah, they get two spawns, one here-ish and one here-ish, and then they just meet up in the middle here. That's where our next major engagement happens. I'm gonna skip to that. Okay, so I'm gonna take a minute to just point out how you're supposed to use the Pyramidian and Hwacha fish loadout. The Pyramidian is the Hwacha fish's shield, right? So they want to stick together. But on this map, when the fight comes around the ribs, you have a cloud in this general area, right? That might be a bit too big. Okay, so you have a cloud in this general area. So Izumi comes around this way, and what's his teammate? Duck Dynasty comes around this way. And then you have the two Pyramidians right here and right here waiting to engage. That was not a good idea. That was really not a good idea, because you want to use your Pyramidian as a shield. The minute you separate, they'll just focus one of you down simply. It kind of takes away from the whole, I'm going to use the Hwacha fish to disable you method of thinking. So it leaves you vulnerable because you're separated. Strength in pairs with this build. Very much strength in pairs. So I'm going to keep skipping. QWERTY gets lost, pulls up the menu. That's usually... Come on. See? So they're kind of in that area I was showing. And you have Howard the Duck moving around this way. Not a good idea. There we go. QWERTY got lost. And... Come on. We're back. Okay. So, here's this engagement. They start focusing Howard the Duck, but then realize this is going to cause problems. And then Hazumi can just dance around it. So they bailed on that, and they focused the Pyramidion, which is probably the better idea because it's the DPS dealer. It wears the pants in the Watchafish Pyramidion relationship. So you want to take out the DPS dealer, because the worst thing that the Duck can do to you is disable you. But that's not a problem if Duck Dynasty can't dance around you. Because at max, it can only disable one of you, so you'll have at least one person on him at any given point in time with the extra DPS from the other ship, provided he doesn't get disabled. So boom, there he goes. Then they turn around on Howard the Duck, using Phoenix Claw. Appropriate, always. If you look at any ship turning that's a Galleon or a Pyramidion, while they're turning in COGs, they always use Phoenix Claw. For you new people who did not know that. Look at that. Look at all the red we're seeing. It just gets worse and worse. Hazumi flew off his ass. Look at this. He's dancing around two dual flat gat Pyramidions. It's ridiculous. Hazumi flew off his ass. But eventually, Jesus himself could not save this ship. Two flat gat Pyrs, way too much DPS. Eventually, you just damage your own ship way too much that you can't pull all those epic maneuvers using hydrogen because your balloon's getting low and whatnot. Duck Dynasty starts backing up, but I think he gets focused down before he can run to Howard the Duck. Duckface here is kind of out of range. He's not as effective until he's at about Duck War's range, or at least here. But yeah, he gets focused down. They get opposite spawns. Howard the Duck spawned all the way over there. Duck Dynasty spawned on the other side, which was bizarre. So blue team went to focus Howard the Duck, but then they're like, oh wait, he doesn't do any damage, he's just a disabling ship. So they turned around on Duck Dynasty immediately and just rained down flag at it. Look at that. Duckface pulling off some awesome maneuvers of his own. Howard the Duck getting a taste of its own medicine, as it were. Duck War staying on Duck Dynasty. And look, okay, Howard the Duck, like I was saying earlier, can only disable one ship and take one ship out of the fight. So as long as you have one ship focusing, you'll be fine. So Duckface is out of the fight at this point because he can't turn, because he has no turning engines. So as long as Duck of War can 1v1 Duck Dynasty, they'll be a-okay. They'll just focus down Duck Dynasty, turn around on Howard the Duck, and then focus down. Pretty, I wouldn't say gimmicky, but it needs to be used perfectly. And your enemy team kind of needs to choke a little bit for the Watchafish dual prim loadout to work. See, but he did not manage to 1v1. So he ended up getting killed. Duckface, however, managed to survive because the flat gat was out of range. So at worst, you have Howard the Duck disabling your guns. His engines are now facing that way, so Howard the Duck doesn't have a shot on them. So he can't disable, so he's backing up. This is smart. Duck of War, like a freaking cruise missile, will focus that Pyramidion just to get rid of that DPS. Because he knows Howard the Duck is useless in the damage department, let's say. Look at that cruise missile. When I saw that, I was laughing. Completely heat-seeked the Duck Dynasty. Focuses him down. Duckface again pulling some awesome maneuvers of his own. No one should question the bird's skill. They've obviously demonstrated they can handle really good pilots by beating Hazumi and the Duck Dynasty. I wish I knew the pilot. Oh, this hurts. I feel bad. Anyway, yeah. Okay, so Duck Dynasty goes down. And then we have a major tactical error from Hazumi. Major tactical error. Right here. Right here. Should have ran. Should have ran. Should have ran so very, very hard. Should have went in between those clouds and ran to Duck Dynasty. The worst thing you would have had to worry about was Gatling guns disabling your engines. But, yeah. Worst case scenario, Gatling guns disable your engines. Worst case scenario is you lose because you have two flat cats on you. So it definitely would have been a better decision just to run here. But instead he kind of got in between the middle. He was hoping to kind of have them spinning around and dancing, but did not really manage to do that. As you can see, they turned a bear and then just tore Izumi a new hole. Could have ran. He could have ran. He should have ran. Definitely should have ran. Boom. Duck Dynasty. Or he could have gone through the clouds if he was feeling particularly ballsy. But that damages your engine and it is not particularly a good idea. Machiavelliist. Okay, there's a reason I forgot your name. It's fucking hard to pronounce. Okay, so I'll be back with the next game. Couple of weird decisions led to Red's downfall, but it was a very, very nice close match. The next two matchups will be very, very bizarre. Okay, I'll fix my overlays and be back in a second. Hello and welcome to part 3. This is Pafa versus Polaris. Alliteration for the win. We got the Watcher's Chance making one of the weirdest decisions I've ever seen in my entire life. Highly competitive match. Let's take a Carronade Spire. Terrible idea. That's a terrible idea. Leave. This is a terrible idea. If you want to use a Spire at all, you take a Lumberjack or a Flat Cannon. Because then you can just sit way far away from where the fight is happening. These things literally have no armor. Well, figuratively have no armor. But yeah, it's definitely not a close range ship. It has such little armor that if you try and use this setup, you're just going to get eviscerated. But that didn't end up happening, did it? Pafa ended up taking a Blunderfish. They could have literally taken any damage dealing ship and just beaten this combination swiftly. Nice little love tap there. Pafa should have taken either a Hotchafish like Kazumi. We know that can work because of the disabling capabilities. If they disable the Aquarius in that fight, if they had a Hotcha, then the Pafa Nautilus can just focus it down, and then you're fine. And then you just switch to the Watcher's Chance. But I know you're saying, but he's disabling your take Drogue Shoot. There, there's that problem solved. Carronade Spires are literally not a problem. They are a non-existent problem. Pafa should have won this swiftly, but they did not, for whatever reason. So they play Ring Around the Rosie. Actually, okay, so this arc, like I was saying last time, you can go to this area by taking a back path around this area. Well, this is the arc you take the back path around. Just thought I'd point that out. Alright, let's continue. Fast forward a bit. Cry profusely because Pafa lost to his Spire, Carronade. Alright, so here's the first engagement. You're going to watch the Nautilus try and focus down the Watcher's Chance, which shouldn't have happened. They should have just been focusing the Pyramidion and hoping they could have beat the crew. Figured out which crew is better in that scenario. As you can see, they're trying to focus. Watcher's Chance, Aquarius is taking full advantage of that situation, and pop, there they go, because literally Aquarius beat them up uncontested. Watcher's Chance getting a little bit beaten up, but the Bajunka Trunk can't put down enough DPS, or they can't put down DPS at all, really. It's really hard to do damage to a hull with a Carronade unless you're taking like Charged or Lock Nagar. But yeah, there you go. 2 down because they decided to focus the Spire. Definitely want to focus the Pyramidion in this situation. Take Drogue Shoot, you're fine. I saw Bajunka Trunk popped Drogue Shoot when they were in that engagement. Problem with Drogue Shoot is it makes you a lot less agile. So it's a lot harder to turn and I think it creates vertical drag if I'm not mistaken. So we're going to fast forward here to the next big engagement. Aquarius actually focusing the Bajunka Trunk just because it's closer. Watcher's Chance cruising in. There you go. Okay, now they're both focusing the side. If Aquarius wanted to win in this situation, I would have said, hell, just go for the Pyramidion again. Because then you take a lot of the DPS off that Spire. And even if you're not, you're still exploiting the DPS machine while it's focusing your teammate. So you can clean them up easily after. Is he using Drogue? Watcher's Chance is using Moonshine. I really like that decision. I like when they bring Moonshine because it helps them get to their teammates faster. Because there's a lot of situations when they can, like now, look how they're just kind of dancing around. Bajunka Trunk, not really doing anything, if you'll notice. He could be helping his teammate kill, or he could be going to the Spire and locking him in an engagement while he's not doing anything here. Definitely could have engaged Watcher's Chance. There's a spot on him, so he knows he's there. Definitely could have engaged him, so he couldn't have ran as easily. Could have started damaging the balloon. He'd been running into that rock, and then his teammate, the Nautilus, could have easily just came in and swept up what was left of that kill. But he took a very weird defensive position. Didn't even really help kill Aquarius when he was down low there. Yeah, so Watcher's Chance avoiding meat grinding somewhat luckily, I'd say. They're lucky the Bajunka Trunk didn't engage. Okay, so here we go. Next engagement. Aquarius doing the right thing and focusing down the Nautilus. I'm going to go back just to see who Nautilus is focusing this time. Did he learn? Did he engage in the art of learning, as Day9 would say? Yes, okay, so they're focusing each other at this point. Watching the balloons. Aquarius is doing relatively okay. Whereas the Bajunka Trunk's getting focused by Watcher's Choice, I think. Something damaged its balloon. Okay, now the Watcher's Choice. The Bajunka Trunk knows he's screwed at this point. He's like, oh, teammate's down. Well, shit. Tries to run. At least I think that's what he's doing. Yep. Trying to get unspotted through the clouds. But Watcher's Chance is keeping them spots up. Nautilus coming in to try and help. Holy DPS Batman. His hull just kind of evaporated there. That was amazing. Skipping, buffing Nautilus, not meat grinding, smart. So they're kind of regrouping here. So third and final engagement, here we go. Was that third or fourth? I don't know. I haven't been counting. Bajunka Trunk getting his tits focused off. Holy. Nautilus way out of position. Bajunka Trunk pushing way too far forward. Watcher's Chance. Look, they ignore Bajunka Trunk completely. He gets way out of position. They focus down the Nautilus. Beautiful play from Polaris there. Ignoring the Blenderfish completely for a 5-2 victory for Polaris. I'm going to go fix my overlays. I'll be back in a minute. Hello and welcome back to our third and final game, M&S versus Paddling. I feel like it's important to set the scene here. So it's week 2, I believe, of the COGs, and it's the Paddling versus M&S, two titanic teams versing each other. The map is Dunes. Zill rolls a Blenderfish alongside a Pyramidion. Paddling takes their standard sniping build, and we end up on the Dunes. And there are some fairly large engagements that happen, leading to a fairly large hide-and-seek game that took place in this general vicinity. Well, Zill, and I believe it was Laron, danced around the back of the ship here until they ran out to where the Paddling was waiting for the final engagement, where they were swiftly obliterated. Now, cue up today's match, week 4, 2 weeks after that disappointing defeat for M&S. They rolled Duel at Dawn. Mother of God. What a perfect map to fit M&S's close range, brutal scrap style. And then this happened. That happened right there. That is exactly what happened. Zill took a carronade galleon. My face when this happened. What? What are you doing? Please stop. Oh my God. What? Look at the Gary's mod. Look at it in disappointment. So we got Duel at Dawn, and they decide to roll a carronade galleon for whatever reason. Alright, let's start this match. Where the paddling obviously has their sniper loadout, so as soon as I saw that, and if I was on M&S, I'd be like, let's not do this. As soon as I saw the paddling sniping loadout, I'm like, this is gonna be a quick game. So this is where the paddling were for the majority of the game, and that's where they stayed. They used the sniping galleon, and they just used it to pivot on a point and obliterate everything, because Zill had a lot of troubles trying to get through these ribs and maneuvering around them to get good shots with the carronades at a close range. Because by the time they rose up through the ribs here, if he turns around, as soon as they rose up through these two ribs here on the other side, they were long range bait essentially. And they did make very good use of, because they spawned here and they kind of went around using the ship as cover. They kind of took this path. Didn't really help, because as soon as they popped up through the ribs, they were just long range bait. Look. Okay, skipping because galleons are slow. There we go, long range bait. Look at that. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. The Lucky Duck already using drogue shoot. The counter to the carronade galleon is drogue shoot. And bringing their watch aside to bear, although, yeah, look at that. Raining down on poor Zill, who thought there was an unspoken code that the Lucky Duck was not going to snipe, which I don't think you should ever consider if you're going up against the paddling. I don't think. Look at that. There's these beautiful harpoons. And I've always said that galleons, as soon as you have two watches, it's a DPS thing. But if you only have one on a goldfish, it's more of a disabling thing. Lucky Duck definitely using those close range watches, showing Zill why you should not take a carronade galleon ever under any circumstances. Look at it, all of his things are gone. Captain Smollett just adding that extra DPS. Watches raining down on Zill. Now, I don't feel like lingering on this too much, because it's a lot of more of the same. They kind of trucked in. Zill got a spawn in this general area here, and kind of just trucked in straight for them. Did not work. Yeah, so we have that happening. And then I just want to point something out that happened, because this game went fairly swiftly to a 5-0. The Leviathan just kind of hung here while Zill charged in for like the last two deaths. Like the first death, he died, and the Leviathan just kind of stuck there, not even really making an attempt to help. Maybe it was some communicative thing. They're like, oh well, fuck, we're boned, let's just let's have some fun with it. I'm just gonna charge them, try and get them bounce off the map edges. But Squash proving that he is pretty damn awesome with those harpoons. Finally the Leviathan comes in. I don't know what was kind of taking him so long, but finally made it there. But they're just gonna focus down, and then it was fixed. Lucky Duck raining down the watch of fire. All of Zill's things are breaking. One thing is surviving on fire. I wonder what's taking out his balloon here. That was interesting. Because they had their right side bearing, so his watches. Interesting. What is hurting their balloon? It's probably fire from the Dirty Duck, if I'm honest. It was probably the Gatling, if I had to guess. But yeah, 5-0. M&S kind of squandered their chances to beat the paddling as soon as they picked the Carronade Galleon. Well, we know they're not making that mistake the next time they go up to face a paddling. I don't think M&S is the kind of team who are going to drop out from their challenger COG, as it were, or whatever the COG is. So yeah, I'm going to be back in a second. We're going to talk about the state of the league as it rests and some upcoming matches. So this is the state of the COGs as it stands. We got Corvus up against Dover. Corvus has Scrimscraw back, so they're going to be grade A. They're going to be a worthy fight for a proving ground match, let alone the rest of their bracket. Yeah, if the Dover manages to beat Corvus, then they deserve their spot in the upcomers COG. They earned it at that point. But Corvus will provide a very, very good challenge for them. Match 2, we got the Gentleman versus the Brood. Now, we don't know a lot about the Brood besides that they can use a dual flat cat combo. So, I don't know if they're a high enough caliber at this point to beat the Gentleman, one of the best teams in the league. Definitely top 3, alongside M&S and paddling. Polaris Company, managing to get into the Challengers COG. If they take a Spire into the Challengers COG, they will lose. They will lose so bad. The paddling is a team known for sniping. They're known to exploit weaknesses. They will definitely exploit the fact that they take a Spire if Polaris decides to take one. It'll be a pretty swift victory for the paddling if Polaris makes a stupid decision like that. Polaris needs to think of something new, try and toss up the metas, try and beat the sniping build that the paddling always brings. And yeah, those are my predictions for match 3. Match 1, probably Corvus. Match 2, probably the Gentleman. Match 3, probably the paddling. Now, it's very loose, but the Gentleman and paddling are very good teams. So is Corvus. Corvus is back up to grade A, so the Dover's going to need to bring the fight. Brood's going to need to bring the fight, and Polaris is, by God, going to need to bring the fight. I will see you after week 5 with my post-match analysis. My post-match analysis. And yeah, so I'll see you next week. Toodles.